Hi everybody, I hope you're all well and you've had a good weekend. I probably already said that in another video, but anyway, I hope you had a great weekend. Welcome back to another Geography Home Learning video. So we're going to be focusing on the polar biomes again, and we're actually going to be looking at climate change this time. So we're going to be looking at how climate change can affect the polar biomes and why that might be important and why that might be something for us to think about. So I've written here that over 20,000 years ago, most of the world was covered in ice. Now, these huge sheets of ice are found only in the Antarctic and Arctic. So our polar biomes, so our Antarctic, which is in the South Pole, and Arctic, which is in the North Pole. And these are the polar regions. Okay, so we already know that from the work that we have done. So we also know that these are two of the coldest places on Earth. Now, climate change is making the world a little bit warmer each year. Now, this is a problem because as the world gets a little bit warmer, it means that the ice in these places is starting to melt quite gradually, and this is having an effect on the world as a whole. So even though they're at the North Pole and the South Pole, it is affecting the world all over. So here I have got one map which shows the biomes of the world. So this is the map that we looked at in a previous lesson. And then I have got another map here that shows what the climate is like in different parts of the world. And I thought it would be interesting for us to compare them. So let's talk about the word climate first of all, because we are talking about climate change. So climate is the type of weather a place has. So that includes the temperature, the amount of rainfall, and the amount of sunlight. And it's really important to note that different biomes have different climates, okay? So we can see that actually really clearly if we compare these two maps. So let's have a look at the polar biome. So we've got the polar regions here, and they have got a polar climate on our climate map. Now, just to compare, let's have a look at tropical forest. So tropical forest is the dark green here. Okay, so we've got some of South America, and that is a tropical forest, though that is one of the biomes. And here we can see they've got a tropical climate. And Northern Africa has got a hot, arid climate, and we can see that it is a desert biome. So can you see how the climate and the biomes sort of go hand in hand? So a particular biome has a particular climate. So that also means that the animals and may as well people that live there, they have grown to expect a certain weather from where they live, and they have developed and adapted to live in that environment. Climate change is sort of changing what the weather and the climate is like in different biomes. So it's almost changing the weather that they're used to. Okay? So let's just have a little look at what climate change is exactly. Okay? So first of all, planet Earth is protected, surrounded by a layer that is called the atmosphere. And this contains a layer of gas. So this gas enables the sun's rays to get through and heat up the Earth. So that is important because we need the sun for, lots of reasons. We need it to grow plants and food, and that helps us, keep our animals, and which in turn keeps us going. So it's really important that that is able to get through, that it allows that to get through. So the gas in the atmosphere is really important because it allows some heat from the sun, and then some of it goes back into space. Okay, so it is there to sort of protect the Earth, let some in, but also some out. Okay, because if it let all of its rays in, if the sun let all of its rays and radiation in, the sun would simply be boiling hot, okay? And then we would end up getting damaged by a lot of the sun's rays. So the atmosphere sort of protects us in a way. Fortunately, this protective blanket, so the atmosphere, it's being damaged by something called climate change. And we're going to have a look at that now. So let's have a look at this one first. Let's just have a look at this picture first, because I think it's a really good way to show you how climate change works. So we've got our atmosphere here, which is surrounding the Earth like a little blanket. So it's a bit like my scarf that I have got on now. Okay. Now, the sun's rays penetrate the atmosphere, and this warms the Earth, just like we spoke about before. And this is really important that this is still able to happen. Okay. So it warms the Earth up and provides us with the sunlight that we need. Now, usually gases, well, with the atmosphere, it happens that gases are able to escape. So just as we're able to keep the sun in and keep some of the sun out, gases are also able to escape from the atmosphere. So harmful gases should be able to escape from the atmosphere. Okay. Now, something called greenhouse gases have thickened the layer of atmosphere, so less gases can be released back into space. This is climate change. So let's say, for example, I've got this blanket now on me. Some heat is able to get out because I've only got one blanket on. Okay. Imagine if I had 10 different blankets on. I would probably be so warm, and it would be very difficult for some of that warmth to escape. It would just trap in because I'd be wearing so many blankets. Now, it's sort of the same with greenhouse gases. Because a lot of gases are being produced that are, quite harmful, and it's causing the atmosphere to get thicker, so less gas is able to escape, just as if I had lots of blankets on, less heat would be able to escape. I hope that makes sense as I've explained it. So let's just have a quick look at some of the gases that are affecting climate change, and let's have a look at what causes them. So first of all, let's have a look at the greenhouse gases. So we have got methane, water vapour, and carbon dioxide. So methane, two types of causes. So one cause is a natural cause, it's plants decomposing. So decomposes means like breaking down, rotting. So imagine if you left an orange outside for 2 weeks. You'd come back and that orange would be like really mouldy. That means it's decomposing. So plants decomposing, and that lets off gas called methane, which then goes into the atmosphere. And this gas isn't a good gas. Okay, so it's quite harmful to the atmosphere. And man-made causes, so we've got cows. So cows, and us looking after cows and using cows for food, cows produce a lot of methane because they do a lot of back-end business, shall we say. And they release a lot of gases that are quite harmful. So that is one thing that adds to the amount of methane we've got in our atmosphere. We also burn coal to help us keep warm. And that again releases methane. Mines also release methane, and some types of rice fields as well. Okay, so it might be from the growing method that methane goes into the atmosphere. So methane is one of those gases. We have got water vapour. So natural causes are evaporating water within lakes. So remember the water cycle, oceans and rivers. Okay. So water vapour is one of these gases that is finding it difficult to get out of the atmosphere because the layer is so thick. And then ours is the man-made cause, So the one that we've created that isn't natural is burning of hydrocarbon fuels. So that might be petrol from cars and using gas to sort of heat our homes and things like that. And last but not least, we've got carbon dioxide, which is the air that we breathe out. Now plants breathe that in and produce oxygen, but the respiration of plants and animals does add to the carbon dioxide that goes into the atmosphere. Okay, natural causes also such as volcanoes and forest fires. So if you've got lots of trees burning, that is going to release a lot of CO2 into the atmosphere. Obviously, these are things that we can't help because they're natural, but they're just adding to the climate change. Then you've got man-made causes. So again, that's the thing that people produce. So making cement, burning fossil fuels such as coal, and cutting down trees. So deforestation. So that might be deforestation of the rainforest. So cutting down and burning for the rainforest for palm oil and things like that are adding to carbon dioxide. That again, all these gases get stuck within the atmosphere and change our climates. Okay, so let's have a look at just some of the problems that this causes for the animals and people in the polar regions. So because these gases are going into the atmosphere, it is making the Earth warmer than it would be if we didn't have them. Okay, so when the sun's rays are coming through the atmosphere, we've got all those gases in there as well. So it's just adding to the warmth that we don't really need. Okay, so because of this, it means that cold areas are getting warmer and ice is melting, or they might have longer, their seasons that are warmer might be longer. So this is having a particular impact on polar bears. So polar bear is most active during winter and spring. Okay, so the change between winter and summer in the Arctic. Now, that's because that's when there is the most ice. Now, when the weather gets warmer, it means the cold season is shorter. And if the warm season is longer, that means polar bears have to survive for longer without food, which means that they sort of lose their energy. They might lose their body heat, so they might get a lot skinnier, which makes it harder to survive because they don't have the energy to go and hunt for their food. So it means that the numbers are decreasing. So you might get more polar bears dying each year, and they also lose weight. And so it's difficult for them to breed as well. So to make polar bear cub babies, so that there can be more polar bears in the area, and they can keep going on sort of forever. It means that the numbers are just going down. And apparently there's approximately only 20,000 polar bears left in the world. That seems like a lot, but if that number is going down ever so slightly every year, then it means that one day it may be that there isn't any polar bears anymore. Okay, so that is one way that it is affecting the polar biomes. And it is affecting plants and other animals too. And just as we said with the permafrost as well, that's affecting the landscape and causing people's houses to be wonky, affecting pipelines. So that is another thing that adds to the problems in the Arctic. Okay, also the indigenous people, so people who have lived in the Arctic for a long time, and their ancestors have lived there. They've learnt to live and hunt off the land. Now, because the wildlife is decreasing, it means that the amount of food that's available to them goes down. So it might mean that the number of people living there or choosing to live there is getting smaller. So it's having an effect on them. Now, the melting ice from the polar biomes is not just having an effect on the people that are there and the animals that are there, it's also causing sea levels to rise. So if you think, if you've got a glass of water and your ice is melting, it means that the water in your glass, if you don't drink it, is going to go up. And you're going to have more water in that glass because the ice is melted. So the same applies to the sea. If the ice is melting in the North Pole and the South Pole, then you're going to have more water in the sea. And this causes flooding. And this is particularly problematic if you live near the sea, because it means that your home is more likely to flood. And warmer air, it is able to hold more water vapour. So this means that if there's a storm, or if it's particularly sort of rainy somewhere, it means that the amount of rain is likely to increase because the air is warmer, there's more water vapour there. So it means that flooding is likely to happen, in more places and in inland, not just near the sea. Okay, so flooding is likely to increase as well. So these are just a few ways in which climate change is affecting the polar biomes and sort of the earth all over. Okay, we are going to look next lesson at how we can maybe make some small changes in our everyday life to help us battle climate change and just do our bit to make sure that we are doing the best for our environment. I have written on the wider curriculum that you've got a worksheet to go with this. If you filled it out whilst we've been going, good on you, and I hope you've done okay. If you've waited till the end, I hope you get on okay with it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Okay? And so I look forward to seeing you in our next geography lesson. Take care and see you soon. Bye.